So thank you all for joining us and welcome to Building the Banks of the Future, KSA edition. I'd like to welcome our esteemed panel of speakers who will be sharing their in-depth insights and perspectives during the session. We have with us Dr. Ahmed Darwish, Head of Digital Delivery at Bank Bilad. Hi, Dr. Ahmed.
Hi, good morning.
We have Salem Albalhareth, Chief Information and Digital Officer of Alamthal Financing Company. Hi, Salem, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
We have Mr. Yazid Al-Hali, co-founder of Creative Minds. Hi, Mr. Yazid, how are you doing?
Hello, good morning.
And we have with us as well Tamer Al-Moj, Managing Director for MENA at Codebase Technologies. Welcome, Tamer.
Hey, Tom. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Well, it's a pleasure to have you all with us, and thank you very much for taking the time to join this discussion. My name is Tom Romansky, and I'll be your moderator for this session. So let's dive right in. So over the past few years, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has emerged as quite a significant player in the fintech sector. Kingdom has embraced the benefits of financial technology as a transformative force and has started multiple initiatives to help the sector grow. In 2018, the central bank, SAMA, and the Capital Market Authority started Fintech Saudi, which is an entity operating under the Financial Sector Development Program and is dedicated to fostering the adoption and growth of the fintech industry in the kingdom. Many other initiatives, such as establishing a regulatory sandbox to test and certify new products, as well as the Fintech Accelerator Program, Fintech Ecosystem Directory, and Fintech Job Portal have all been created to support the growth of the kingdom's fintech sector. Furthermore, SAMA introduced the Open Banking Lab in 2022 to support open banking and provide a sandbox environment for banks, fintechs to experiment with products and services while maintaining compliance with the country's open banking framework, which we all know was released in November 2022. So all these efforts have had quite a powerful effect. And at the end of 2022, there are about 147 fintech businesses registered with Fintech Saudi, and investment in fintech companies had reached almost $500 million US. So with that in mind, I'd like to start by asking you, Tamer, what are some exciting insights you've seen in Saudi Arabia and the kingdom, and how are they shaping the digital landscape in the country?
Well, thank you, Tom, for this question. Basically, if we look at the GCC's population at large, we're looking at a population which is under 30 years of age. And of course, the region has some of the highest connectivity rates in the world, pretty much, which is more than 90% of its population connected and have access to internet. That is, of course, far surpassing the global average of 50 or 51 or 52%. And nearly 2/3 of the population is also expected, by 2026, which is just around the corner, to be holding a 5G connection. And that, of course, comes from any report you see, especially the BCG per se. If we look at last year, the kingdom, as you rightfully said, had recorded around 150 fintech firms. There's about 19 licensed Saudi fintech companies that provide payment services, consumer microfinance, and electronic insurance brokerage, for example. So, in general, the Saudi fintech ecosystem is predominantly driven by, payment and payment solution, which account for almost 30% of fintechs, followed by lending at around 20%. Business tools at 13-14%, according to, of course, the report that came out of the Fintech Saudi back in 2020. Also, Tom, 95% of Saudi Arabia's more affluent bank population, pretty much said that they have used digital banking channels the past few years. Of course, digital channels are the most preferred method in interacting with banks these days, with more than 60% also stating that banking applications as their preferred channel of dealing with their respected banks. Around 20% preferring online banking, and that's according to the Ipsos report that I've looked at. So, from these statistics, we can see high performance for digital channels in the kingdom from, a customer's perspective. However, there's still a gap I see since most of the banks in the kingdom don't really offer full digital services, if you like. Hence, banks do move quickly and can secure quick advantage and attract market share, while at the same time reducing costs, and hopefully that will affect increasing the revenue stream that they look at. So that's my perspective, from a 30-foot perspective.
Okay, no, that's some really good insights. You mentioned about the lending kind of angle being about 20% of the solutions. Mr. Salem, do you have any thoughts or insights from a lending kind of perspective on digitization and what you're seeing happening in the kingdom? I think you're on mute, Mr. Salem.
I strongly agree with what I believe now it should be fine, is it?
Yes, perfect.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you also.
Yeah, okay. So I strongly agree with what has been stated by Thamer, and I believe these numbers and percentage what you have mentioned are enough fertile grounds for digital banking to thrive. Additionally, in KSA, knowing the fact that the internet penetration is already at 99%, and also as mentioned, and also mobile connections stand at 115%. I believe these are a promising number that the digital, I would say, adopting is huge in the market. And lending now, actually, for digital lending now, it becomes a must. It's not anymore a fancy things now to happen. I believe it becomes as maybe more threats more than an opportunities, considering the fintech penetrations and also the target or the stretch target by the fintech Saudi to reach a certain number by 25. They are targeting, as per the fintech report 2022, up to 230 fintech companies operating. So I believe this make a digital transformation is a must for all financial institutions to be able to continue the competition in the market.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And Dr. Ahmed, from a bank and institutional point of view, what are you seeing in terms of the insights, and how are you what are the kind of trends that are really kind of on your radar from a bank point of view?
Okay, thank you so much for having me here today. I maybe add a few points to what my colleagues have mentioned. Maybe one of the points that we need to say is that the objective of Saudi Arabia is to reach 550 fintechs by 2030 as part of the vision, which is very huge number compared to other countries and what we have even today on the ground. As we mentioned, we are only almost 1/3 of this number today is available. So we are expecting another doubling of the number, to reach 200% of what we have today within the upcoming 6 to 7 years, which is a very ambitious objective. The second point is that this will open opportunities for customers. And the trend now is coming into Saudi Arabia, and this is very, very promising, is that we start giving some services to the minors. So people who are below the age of 18, they are now able to open accounts, open wallets in Saudi Arabia, which is going to increase the financial inclusion of that sector. And those people are Generation Z. And you know how Generation Z, they love to be on digital world, having digital services. So this will now open doors for new services, because that customer segment is different from the adults. And for sure, they will start having new, let's say, trends of services to be provided to this specific generation and that specific age. So I'm expecting a lot of new services to come, and I think SAMA has launched an application for educating kids or those minors about financial services, how to save money. So this is a new trend coming to Saudi Arabia, and it's obvious that it's going to take some focus in the upcoming years. Maybe the third point, which might be important to mention, is that the financial inclusion here and the competition between fintechs, and as well as, and which we might be covering in a later stage of this session, in open banking. So new services are coming, and financial inclusion is becoming now a trend in Saudi Arabia. So those people who don't use banking accounts and don't have wallets earlier, they now start using it. The good point is that some of banks, and Bank Albalhareth is one of them, is encouraging the cooperation with fintechs. We don't see the fintechs as a competitor. We see them as a complementary partner or partners who are going to expand the financial services within Saudi Arabia to reach every and each corner. So this will increase, at the end of the day, the number on volume of transactions in the country, which will give us more inclusion and more profit at the end of the day, even with the competition at some level of traditional transactions. That's the view.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think as you said, collaboration is one of the key elements to be more effective. Yazid, do you see that as a good or as a kind of a big trend going forward in terms of the fintech sector? Is collaboration really something that you see being pushed in the kingdom?
Well, it is actually happening in Saudi that tech-savvy people are more adopting into new technologies. They're actually moving into more seamless way of interaction when it comes to financial transactions, or even on financial services as well. So we are seeing actually a lot of picking up on the trail when it comes to technology into financial services, either if it's in the lending side, either if it's actually in transactional side. We're seeing that the kingdom has heavily invested in that technology, big time. And we're seeing that because of this Generation Z, or even before that, they're even adapting. And I would say that Saudi is actually one of the adapting countries that adapted into new technologies quickly.
Yeah, that makes the quick growth kind of really puts it in perspective. So I think that's quite a good segue. You mentioned kind of, I think everyone was touching a little bit about kind of what the future of banking and experiences looks like in Saudi. So I think, Mr. Salem, from your point of view, what do you think, let's say, envision the future of banking, and how does it look in Saudi for banks and for lenders, and how are lenders and banks facing the new digital competitors like neobanks and challenger banks that are starting to pop up all over the MENA and GCC region? I think you're on mute again, Mr. Salem.
Sorry. Okay, thank you, Tom, for addressing these questions. Actually, in a competitive fintech landscape in Saudi Arabia, where payment solutions dominate, and also customer trust in non-traditional financial services providers is growing, I believe incumbent banks are or should taking strategies, steps to address the competition and stay relevant. Okay, so there are a few steps that many banks have already started. Also, as just mentioned now by the Dr. Ahmed, something like a partnership and collaboration with the fintech. So many banks are forming partnership with fintechs companies to leverage their innovative solutions, while also providing these startup access to the customer base. Okay, and the collaboration allows banks to introduce new services quickly and tap into the agility in the fintech. Digital transformation is another step. So banks are investing heavily in digital transformation to enhance their online and mobile banking platform or digital platform. They are working to offer now seamless services or user-friendly interfaces to perform transactions and personalized services that match the convenience provided by fintech players. One the other steps is the innovation centers and creativity. So banks setting up innovation centers, accelerators, and to foster internal innovation and collaboration with the external fintech. So this is part of the partnership and collaboration. They have open doors for also fintech to come and maybe to sandbox or to be the first player with the fintech themselves. So another important aspect, which is the customer experience enhancement. So it's very crucial that traditional banks is looking after the customer experience, improving the overall experience by offering the personalized and real-time transactions. So this will for sure increase the strengthen customer and the strengthen customer loyalty and compete effectively against the traditional providers. This will also help banks to improve the customers' retention to go anywhere else. So I believe embracing also open banking, as mentioned by Dr. Ahmed, is very also important steps. That will allow banks to move in a little more agility by sharing the customer data to third-party fintech providers through secure APIs. Additional things like enhancing security measures, awareness of customer and educations. All these things, I believe, are very crucial steps and strategies for the banks to be to stay in the competition with other fintech landscape.
Thank you, Mr. Sam. That definitely, that paints quite an interesting picture of the future. Tamer, maybe you can kind of perhaps build on us and tell us a little bit also about what you're seeing from a kind of strategic tech point of view and how supporting banks, how are banks supported in KSA?
Definitely, Tom. I mean, looking at the landscape of banks in the kingdom today, you have about 35 banks in the market. You have 11 local traditional banks. You have 21 foreign branches of banks. 3 local digital banks, to my knowledge. And if we want to throw some numbers there, only when we talk about these 3 local digital banks, they're covering about 35 million people. And they won't make a dent in the country with so many affluent people willing to and being eager to use the digital banking channels. A good and whopping 88% or 90% of people are now ready to open digital only bank accounts, and closer to 80% of Saudis actually want to share their data in exchange for a better banking services. So we're getting there. And if you look at the future in general, close to 65% to the numbers that I've seen, said that they're willing to be making all their financial transactions through those digital banking arenas in the coming future. Close to also 60% believe that people would no longer use cash as a payment method, with 1 to 2 customers saying otherwise. So new financial services and payments method will take place, and that was a study that I've looked at through EPSIS, if you want to look at it. So yeah, I totally agree with my colleagues on that front.
No, that makes those numbers again are quite interesting to see how many people in Saudi are hungry for digital service. I mean, I think Saudis are quite well traveled. They've seen what's out and about in Europe and the States and all around the world. So then, they kind of want those services to be kind of brought to them in their local kind of bank branch and market. So Dr. Ahmed, is that something that you're seeing from let's say your customers? Is there a big desire and a hunger for as Salem and Tamer said, digital services, seamless experiences? Is it something that people are ready for? Do you think your customers are ready for? Are they asking for it? And is it just a case of the banks now finding the quickest and most effective way to bring that experience to their customers?
Yes, for sure. يعني in digital banking in Bank Albalad, we have started maybe 3 years back or maybe more, and with that account opening journey fully digitalized, that was a real start, which is now becoming a norm, as mentioned by Salem. Also, the people accepting opening account digitally, as mentioned by Tamer, is also becoming a norm. You don't now need to talk about it. Yani, maybe 4 years ago it was a trend, and people start talking about, oh, I have opened my account digitally, and now it's becoming something like if you are just making a phone call. Yani, it's today I'm very close to people in other digital banks who are about to launch their services. We have 3 banks in Saudi Arabia. They are about to start launching their services officially to customers, maybe within a quarter or so, or maybe less. So what I'm expecting is a change in the market with those new banks coming into the ground. So what we are talking about today is going to be a little bit different if we have this call after 3-4 months from now. The other point which I want to mention is the CBDC introduction to Saudi market, because today SAMA and Saudi Payment are heavily working to, let's say, develop the central bank digital currency. So I'm expecting that we are not going to be only cashless society like it was mentioned maybe 15, 16 years ago as a direction, but I think we are going to be banknote-less society. So we will try to move away from using the banknotes, and the digital currency will be the majority of the transactions that we're going to have, especially for open loop and closed loop kind of transaction. So even if you have a loyalty program or things like that, you can use the digital currency to give the reward to your customers, and merchants within the closed loop will be able to accept the CBDC and use that for, again, maybe to redeem those CBDC into notes currencies. But this will be based on the rules that will be set on the ground. So I'm expecting another move or shift to digital currency. طبعا this will be very important for countries to stop this, I don't want to say unofficial, but this cryptocurrency wave, which is sometimes is not for the benefits of the economy for a reason or another. I don't want to go into details because this is a debatable point, but the governments, especially central banks, they need to focus on this CBDC and these initiatives. طبعا other initiatives, as I mentioned, inclusion and يعني today embedded finance is clear wave across the world, not only in Saudi Arabia. يعني today we have seen that Apple Card now is making a boom. Other financial institutions who are going to, or non-financial institutions who are going to have financial embedded within their journey, is going to make another jump, and we are expecting about 20 billion market for embedded finance by 2025. So all these kind of changes, I think this will shape the future of banking in Saudi Arabia in specific, and maybe some of them are also are globally, let's say, reflected.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right, Dr. Ahmed. You know, financial services really starting to permeate so far beyond just the banking sphere. You know, it's entering kind of every part of our lives, and you know, a lot of non-banks, as you mentioned, Apple, are becoming, you know, what you could argue is very successful finance companies or banks in a way. As well.
I believe we have example here in Saudi, if you allow me. Actually, you know, STC Bank just got a license also to operate. So just imagining the customer base of a telecom company now converting to a financial, you know, service providers, and how the significant role that this similar banks is going to play in the market. So I believe, yeah, this is very interesting, and also incumbent bank should move fast, you know, toward strategy. I mean, required to adopt the digital transformation, either in fully or in hybrid mode, because still some physical presence is also preferred for some customers. So I believe, yeah, the future of digital banking in Saudi is very promising based on the numbers and facts that we are seeing today.
Yeah, that's a very strong point. I mean, everyone's pushing digital as in, kind of non-physical. There's no branches, no banks, but still, there's some element of that, kind of human experience or place to go that people are still, there's that hybrid kind of transition that has to happen. But I think, Salem, you touched on a very good point, which is the digital transformation piece, right? Because offering all these different services kind of requires the bank or the lender or the entity to kind of go through and position itself to be able to offer those services, right? So I think maybe this might be a good question for you to start off with, Yazid, is how are financial institutions in KSA tackling that whole digital transformation piece from whether it's technology or business perspective, and like what hurdles and obstacles are you seeing that are need to be overcome in order to offer these world-class digital services?
Certainly, financial institutions in Saudi are actively leveraging on digital transformation to stay competitive and to meet evolving customer expectations. From a technology perspective, they're investing in a lot of new, modern, and cutting-edge technologies, like embedding or trying to embed, I wouldn't say artificial technology per se, but let's say the same basis of artificial technology and blockchain. However, and mobile apps as well. Going into that, the hurdles that I would see is actually when it comes to cybersecurity risks as well. And even when they're putting or even integrating or moving platforms from legacy systems to new platforms as well, where this is where it all relates actually into having really good technology partners and actually putting in and investing into new technologies and actually becoming more API friendly or exposing, which is a risk. I'm not saying it's not. It is a risk, but however, it needs to meet the expectation of a cybersecurity standard where the new cybersecurity framework that SAMA released actually need to be embedded. So it's actually more of time consuming. And I do understand the perspective of financial institutions when it comes to that. It might cost them a lot. And at the same time, it might not meet customer expectations. But when it comes to that evolvement, when that happens, it actually might thrive into actually newer heights. This is in my humble opinion.
Yeah, that is very insightful, makes a lot of point. Dr. Ahmed, maybe you can tell us a little bit from your side also in terms of what are hurdles or challenges that you've been facing or you've seen banks face in KSA when it comes to digital transformation. Even from, it'd be interesting to know like the mindset point of view, because bringing in the right technology and the right business processes is obviously one part of the puzzle, but then also getting people to adapt to those new processes, right? To doing business in a new way, like whether you said it's embedded finance, digital onboarding, how are those hurdles being addressed by banks in KSA?
طبعا the most challenging part in our situation financial institutions in KSA is the fraud cases. This social engineering is becoming a trend across the globe, and by having people who are, I don't want to say naive, but they are by nature they call them and ask them for their information based on a use case, and they try to encourage them and take them into the direction of sharing their information. This is a big challenge, and for sure for us in digital, this is against giving the best customer experience. So there must be always a balance between security and customer experience, and for sure making sure that we are secured enough might be impacting our customer experience. But financially, or in financial sector, protecting the customer money and financials, I think is much important than just giving him an easy steps to do or to go through a simple journey. So that balance is always there and will remain for some time, unless we adapt more smart, let's say, solutions and technologies, like, for example, behavioral biometrics. Yani, behavioral biometrics, you don't need to set another layer or to make the journey complex, but embedded within the journey, you can detect whether this is your customer or someone else by the behavior of the customer on the screen and on the cell phone. So more smart technologies are going to be adopted in order to minimize the impact of the fraud cases on the customer journey and the experience. I believe also يعني lending is becoming now, I don't want to say يعني you can say, when you go to buy, this kind of quick chicken from Kentucky, or it's becoming, uprosted. So today a lot of fintech companies are coming to be or acting as a hub for financing services. So you might be finding another let's say 10 fintech companies coming with financing proposals. Either I will connect you to the best bank, I will show you multiple proposals, and you can select. The same is happening also in the insurance sector. So I think this trend will also become more and more in Saudi Arabia, and this is maybe putting a challenge on the banks, because now banks are not only exposed to their customers, but now they are exposed to a competition with others on the same digital service that they are providing, as well as insurance companies.
And if I might add, Dr. Ahmed, in your opinion, balancing these technological advancements and with a human touch is also important. While automation can enhance efficiency, customers still value personalized interactions, I would say. I guess it's more of a right balance between technology and personalized services. It is a challenge. We want digital innovation. We want seamless. We want all of that. But sometimes, actually, when it comes to the case of trust, they would love to actually have a one-to-one interaction.
True, Yazid. And I believe, I believe conversational AI is one of the things that whenever we have difficulties with the customer to get a solution through the chatbot or the conversational AI, we have this backup plan is always to connect the customer to a human being, because those customers might not be feeling very comfortable with that kind of AI services and machine robotics kind of things. So that's why even in some of the branches, people who are start putting some robotics or robots there to serve customers, by time they found that it's only people have it for fun, but at the end of the day, when it comes to taking a real service, they prefer to see the employee or the people who are really waiting for them to serve. Yeah, correct.
Yes.
Human beings are social, right? So you always want to have a face or someone to talk to. I remember reading somewhere that people love digital and kind of non-physical digital banks until something goes wrong, right? When something goes wrong and you're not able to talk to someone, you're only on a chat bot, then people say, oh, maybe this digital is, so not the. So maybe Talmer, you can kind of elaborate a little bit more on that, the kind of balance.
Yeah,
striking the right balance,
For sure, Tom. I mean, my colleagues have been listening, and they've touched on many elements, which I would like to call main traits, or let's say, that really characterize the digital challenge when it comes to, does the whole digital transformation. So, if we look at those elements or traits, some like the brand that we're building, the culture, the platform itself. Then there's the experience, and then we start off with the channel. So let's say we take the brand, right? So we need to develop an emotional brand affinity pretty much with the community of the users. So we engage with non-traditional media channels. So that's from a brand perspective. You tackle the channel itself, and you provide digital only and mobile centric services available anytime, anywhere. So you cover that. Then you look at the experience, which my colleagues had touched on today. If you can design a user experience, a personalized one, and a hassle-free service, so people can have the trust to do that and go along. Culture for me, when I look at that, when I talk to different banks within the region, we talk about the culture. How do you operate? As a technology first company, let's put it that way. That emphasizes on the on the learning and the being agile in a working environment. Then, if we want to go into a more technical aspect of those characteristics for any challenger bank, is the platform. How do you leverage a cloud native and open architecture? That's a challenge, and I'm sure everyone will agree on that. The stack, enabling advanced analytics, as you guys rightfully said, and the partnership that banks need to form with collaborations with different fintechs. So that that's how I see it in general. You have to look at these different traits as you go along and look at those challenges from a digitization or a digital transformation for any bank in any country.
Yeah, definitely. That I think those kind of five kind of key pillars around delivering a successful digital experience or a digital bank, they definitely make a lot of sense. You're touching on all the various aspects that are gonna kind of create something holistic. Mr. Salem, so are there any other kind of, let's say, challenges or opportunities you're seeing in the digital transformation journeys of banks and lenders in the kingdom?
I believe our colleagues has pretty well covered all the challenges. I would like to start from where Yazid and Dr. Ahmed has ended by the personalized services. So I believe the centric customer approach, is one of the challenges or changing that the financial institution should actively tackling. Where by understanding the studying and understanding the customer needs and preferences. Leveraging data analytics to offer personalized services and the products that cater to individual customer profiles. This is very important from business perspective. What we can also add is also the things have been mentioned earlier, which is about partnership and collaboration. So this is very important step or technique to tackle the and leverage also the experience of fintech and innovation. Agile methodologies, time to market for digital transfer, services are very important. So moving agile and adopting to foster a culture of continuous improvement and flexibility is a very great added value to the organization to be able to deliver services and to compete. Now these days, I believe whenever there is a new service or a new product, I don't think it will take more than 3 or 4 months to copy and to reuse. So it's very so the agility is very important to be covered. From business perspective, I believe we should also consider the product diversification, or diversity. This is also important to respond to customer demands. Financial also institutions are diversifying their products offering. Also, introducing new digital financial products such as robo services, digital wallets, and investment platforms. These are very important, challenges to be tackled. But the more now, I would say, trending, or the most trending now, which is the data-driven decision making. I believe adopting the AI and machine learning technology is become also a crucial part into the digital transformation to foster the decision, to improve the data quality, data analytics, and improve the decision making behind the data. From technology, I believe Yazid has covered it very well. Modernizing the IT infrastructure. others to be more scalable in the digital world. So it will be easy to scale up and scale down whenever you need. Mobile and digital wallets, embracing open banking. These are other subjects of
Sorry, I think we're having a bit of a connection issue there. I think we'll just wait for Mr. San to reconnect. I think he's just dropped out.
I'm
Hassan, sorry, you just disconnected for a second.
It's okay. So I believe that's the most important points that we should or that financial institutions should actively look behind to tackle the challenges with digital world.
But also, I guess, Salem, you have to look at successful models that also can introduce those digital tap into branchless, and they involve many aspects. So, as you guys mentioned earlier, the wallets, personal finance, and buy now, pay later, for example, digital savings on wealth management is an aspect that could be of a positive rather than a challenge. Segmented and specific, fully digital banking propositions like retail clients, launching those banks launching outside the core of their business. Fully digital proposition that could cater for SMEs, for example. These things really could be successful models if today adopted and carried on by financial institutions. Because what we're seeing is a lot of customers are leaving their banks. And
Indeed.
there are many, each and every one of us can really list, poor customer service, limited products for the needs of the people, better loan offerings, credit cards, digital channel experiences, deposit rates, for example, and many more that we can list pretty much today.
And indeed, Tamer, I believe, yes, the microfinancing now, and also the buy now, pay later. It's not even buy now, pay later. Now there are also other services called save now, buy later, and served now and pay later. All these now new products and the product diversification, I believe, will play a very significant role in the changing in the market landscape. I believe this is going to be a lifestyle. Whenever you need to buy something or to get a service now, I don't think that you may think about using your money, and you may start thinking about how to using these financial services. Buy now and pay later, save now and pay later, save now even for foods, for services. Now they are coming also with the new product and services. So I believe financial institutions should go fast and should also come with innovative ideas to be able to adopt the earlier customers to their services. Otherwise, what we can see maybe in 3 or 4 years from now, I don't think it will be a competition, a landscape. It will be a collaboration landscape more. Okay, so where people are collaborating with each other, and everyone is finding another source of customers or transactions from another fintech or financial institutions.
100%, Wissam, definitely.
Yeah, it's like this idea of, I guess, co-opetition, right? In a way. So you're kind of cooperating to then grow and innovate. And I think, what you said, Salem, is very crucial. I mean, when technology sort of levels the playing field, the innovation happens in the kind of services and what innovation is, in the product itself.
Absolutely. And if you allow me, Tom, for this point, and I believe there is one question in the chat about the open banking. Our people are trusting open banking in Saudi.
Yes.
I would like to just elaborate, because now there are, I believe, 4 to 5 fintech companies. They call it the financial infrastructure, where they are providing open banking. They have been licensed already, or at least given the approval to start working by the central bank. We as a financial institutions, have already engaged with open banking services to provide with some services, and we found this collaboration is very crucial not only to leverage to some additional data or services, but also to tackle some pains in our, I would say, traditional or normal operation. Yani, for example, instead of asking the customer to bring a statement or to download a statement of 100 pages, specifically for SMEs or for maybe some individual cases, we don't need to do that now. We can go to open banking and we can just get the transactions detail, and there are also transactions insights also you can get out of these fintech services. I believe they are also improving their services to maybe move toward not only providing data but also providing analysis as well. So they will analyze the transactions, they will analyze the customer, I would say, financial behaviorals and transactions, and come up with some insights so that you can go ahead and use. They have access to all banks account for the customer, and then you can see the transactions for the customer. If the customer is more saving or more spending, or where how the pattern of that transactions are happening. So this is very, very important, and I believe, yes, they are very trustworthy organizations, and I believe all financial institutions are going to join these fintechs very soon.
So people are kind of ready for that piece. So I think that we talked quite a bit about collaboration and kind of this innovation part. I think it might be a nice segue to kind of continue along that track of open banking. I think Dr. Ahmed, something you might be able to illuminate us on. Open banking is quite an interesting approach. It's been mandated in many countries in MENA and in KSA as well. So what are the opportunities that you see it offering banks and fintechs in terms of like the new kinds of experiences? I mean, Salem's talked a little bit about different cooperations. Tamer's mentioned different kind of product innovations. So from the banking point of view, what are your views on open banking and where it can kind of take us, and how it can benefit the bank itself as well in terms of optimization and innovation?
Yeah, I think this is very good and deep question as well, Tom. Open banking today is passing through another, let's say, innovation maturity level. Last November 2022, SAMA has launched the framework of open banking, which was the first release, and it was only about account aggregation. And that helps those fintechs, or I prefer to call them here TPPs, because they are actually third parties getting the data of your customers. So they are helping your customers, but actually they are working between you and your customer by sharing the data of the customer with the consent to them, to be able to start giving them some insights, maybe statements, whatever, some credit risk assessment. So I prefer to call them TPPs, and they are start doing, as Salem mentioned, some insights about the data, what we call personal finance management, or PFM. So that PFM will help customers to understand their expenditure, their behaviors. They can do goal saving. They can have better financial control over their expenditure. We can give them early warning about that they are going to exceed, for example, their budgetary level for every and each type of transactions. For example, spending on hypermarkets, or let's say catering or whatever, traveling, entertainment, a lot of segments or sectors of expenditure or merchants. So moving from that, let's say I would like to say read only or information only, into another level, which is now about to be launched, and it's only shared with banks, and it's about to be officially launched by SAMA, which is coming very soon, maybe early September or so, is the another level, which is the payment initiation service provision. So you can nominate, or you can delegate the payments transactions into your TPPs. So I can trust, for example, one company, I can ask them to pay my mobile bill on every month, even if it's variable, maybe one time or multiple times, recurring. as I mentioned, fixed value or variable value. You can do also RTP, so request to pay. So, for example, for direct debit or these kind of things, it could be also initiated, or either by the customer himself setting a standing order to pay the recurring installment, or by the company or service provider to request to pay from the customer through that TPP. So it's going to make another change to the market by having payment initiation services. This will take us into a very, very, let's say, digitalized open banking services. طبعا we'll start gaining money out of these transactions, because now we are talking about IPS transactions or RTGS transactions or bill payment. So a profit will start being showing up to banks and TPPs, and instead of that account aggregation, which was launched last November, about free transactions from bank side. So today you can go to start monetizing the open banking services, which will add value to the banks as well as the TPPs to start making more money out of this. So I think with this maturity level, open banking will propagate more. TPPs will start doing some additional services. طبعا today those TPPs are already connected with us in the bank, and we have a thorough and deep understanding of their business model and their services. Tomorrow we are expecting more to come, especially for the payment initiation or PISP, and we know about a lot of them are still in the sandbox. But I think with the coming release or two of the open banking, they will start coming out of the sandbox to start launching their services. So I think by end of this year, we will see a big change to the open banking landscape in Saudi Arabia for sure.
Dr. Ahmed, we all, of course, we all know that the central bank issued, as you said, last November, the framework, if you like, for the open banking. But also, didn't the kingdom launch, or the regulator in the kingdom launch earlier this year in January, the open banking lab? So if you can just shed some light on that, and how it's being how is it playing in the market from a lab perspective?
طبعا lab at the beginning of the implementation of the open banking was very useful, and I think it's still for some of the banks who are not maybe yet fully certified. Alhamdulillah, Bank Bilad, we already got certification for retail and corporate. So now we are officially cooperating with those who are providing either retail use cases or corporate use cases. But the lab was very useful at the beginning for people to start trying the API connections, the security framework, about how to collaborate. Everyone understand the rules and responsibilities with a clear segregation, who should do what. So it was very useful for banks as well as fintechs to collaborate and to understand the dimension of the framework itself. طبعا with the new release 2, now we start having financial impacts. So I believe with that lab also this will be very useful and very helpful to protect the financial, let's say, transactions of our customers, especially those coming through the third parties, to make sure that we are not hurting the customer. Even if the customer is given the consent, the transaction should be secured. Fraud cases should be also considered. So we have to be having careful anti-fraud rules in the open banking to make sure that no one else is triggering those transactions on your behalf. So it's still, the lab is very useful, and I think the rule is obvious to everyone who worked in open banking in Saudi Arabia. Correct.
I think that's an excellent observation, and one can't not think of the fact that I think banks today need to rethink their strategies if they want to move from a traditional pipeline optimization models that they currently have to a more co-creation platform model that involves collaboration, and that's, we have to emphasize on collaboration today to be able to co-create those experiences. And I don't know if these models will remain, and they should remain competitive, in that new era that will take place, where those financial services are embedded in those customer experiences. And I always think of that, and it excites me to see those collaborations coming into play. And I'm sure, we will witness probably, if not end of this year in the kingdom, maybe earlier during Q1, some exciting news in that space.
Sure, and I believe those who already have the inertia and start already adopting the rest of the services of release one, I think for them now continue to have the services of payments into production is going to be a matter of a few months. So I think SAMA has successfully built the buy-in and the inertia with banks to adopt open banking framework. And I think now with the introduction of this PISP services, this will come faster than even release one.
That's
true.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Kind of building on that, I think maybe Salem, maybe you can give us a little bit of insight on in terms of open banking and digitization. Are you seeing more of a from let's say like a platform or a technology point of view? Is there more a lean towards kind of building technology from scratch, or is there more of a lean to kind of bringing on or using platforms that kind of already exist, whether it's for open banking or API integration or just general digitization? Which side do you see kind of institutions leaning more towards, and why do you think that is?
I would say that the most important side of open banking is the significant opportunities for both actually fintechs and banks. Okay, I believe technology is only enabler. It's not something that we should worry about. And what I believe makes things happen is the big support from the regulator. Okay, from central bank. And I believe without our central bank support, sandboxing such services and also communicating with all financial institutions, specifically the banks, because they are the main data sources for these open banking services, and have these, I believe, integration as mandated, I think, or at least they are encouraging them to do so. This would not happen without this support and regulations. I believe sandboxing approach is also very crucial to implement the new services or a new approach very carefully, where the new rule, policy, procedures, security controls, and everything will be built carefully. That's why where a new fintech company are joining the sandbox. They have some banks nominate as a nominated bank to start with these services at the beginning. Once everything is clear to regulator, to banks, and to fintechs, they will make it as a mandate. So from business point of view, I believe this is I would say it is a business opportunities more than it's only a technology enabler platform, because for example, for banks, they will leverage the banks into the innovation of these fintechs, the agility to provide the services and the data in whatever platforms available. From fintech, I believe this also will leverage fintech to the customer base of these banks and customers. So I believe it's a collaborative method where both banks and fintechs are getting significant opportunities from this side. Technology platform is important to be ready. I believe from the other side, I would say, and for example, today from financial institutions or from banks, I'm sure they will be also thinking to how to provide additional services as an open banking from their side as well. And for example, if there is a new commerce or a new fintech companies joining, for example, I may leverage my already invested technology or processes to be used by these fintechs. And for example, why do you need to go and create a payment gateway or payment solution where somebody can offer you this payment gateway to be utilized? So you can focus on your core business more, and you can leverage to other services are provided by these, I would say, third party, as mentioned by Dr. Ahmed, providers. So you will focus more on your business and your innovation, and leverage on whatever available services instead of building from the scratch. It could be a hyper, again, approach where you need to build your own, I would say, core functions. But wherever you need to add into that one, you can go ahead and use either any of these third party to provide you a service. And also they have the experience, they have the know-how, they have also the time to market will be also important. So I believe that's how we should look at it from this angle.
Thank you for that. I think it might work if we just conscious of time for everyone. I think there's a couple of questions that we have in our Q&A. So I think we can address those and just give people a little bit more info on that side. Yazid, there's a question for you, but obviously everyone can add their inputs as well. But what are the mindsets like of people within KSA banks or startups with regards to digitization? Is it being embraced on an institutional level, or does more work need to be done there? What do you think, Yazid?
Well, I can't speak on behalf of all of the banks, but however that I can see is there is actually a big embracement, and this is actually what the country and the regulator is actually forcing financial institutions to go to. We are adapting into new technologies. We are embracing digitization, and at the same time, the reports speak for itself. We are digitizing rapidly, and our organic growth when it comes to technology adaptation is very significant. So I would say actually it's just a matter of time, and we might hit a new world record when it comes to digitization as well.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. That would be a good target to aim for. There is a question also which I think we might have addressed to some degree. What are the main benefits banks are seeing resulting from digitization? Things like optimized costs, increased revenue, better cross-sell, enhanced analytics. Dr. Ahmed, maybe you can give us some insight on that.
I think all of this is applicable, but for us, the most important thing is the reach. Reaching the customer everywhere and in every and each corner of the country, and even globally. Cross-border financial services now is becoming also very important. So you as a citizen or an expert working in the Gulf, you can reach your bank account whenever you are or wherever you are. And some people who don't have a branch close to them, they can get the financial services from there. I think this is the most important thing out of digitalization. طبعا enhancing the customer experience, better service quality, better offers, competitive offers, upselling, cross-selling. All of this is also under the same umbrella of the benefits, but I think a digital reach is the most important part.
Yeah, I think as you mentioned, for financial inclusion, for reaching beyond branches, it's a very important aspect to bring different products and services to the people that need it, in different demographics and geographies. Okay, we have one more question here, which I think maybe Salem, you might be able to give us insights on. So are banks and financial institutions looking at increasing or cutting down on their budgets on digitization to cope with the increased demand for digital services from customers?
Okay. I believe it should start with increasing budget. I would say in a short term, institutions should invest on building their digital platforms and infrastructures. However, the main objective of moving digital is to the cost optimization and maybe save cost over time as a long-term objective. So this will help organization to reduce the number of branches, to avail the services 24/7, to maybe reduce the fraud and cases. So there are many benefits which should incorporate on improving the cost efficiency of the organization on the long term. However, in the short term, I believe there should be enough budget from organization to be able to implement the required infrastructure and services at the beginning. So it is a mix of both.
Yeah, I assume you have to, you have to increase budgets to kind of bring in new innovations, but then you want those innovations to optimize your cost in the long term, so to speak, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, I'm just conscious of time, so I think, we've covered a good amount of content. If there's anything anyone else would like to add as a parting thought, I think we can, wrap up and, you can get back to your busy lives. And thank you for taking time to, be part of the webinar and providing all your insights and inputs. I think it was very valuable for our customers, and, I definitely learned a lot. So I think it was a really great discussion.
Yeah. Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot, Tom. I just would
Thank
like
you.
to add one more point, which is, the learning curve. I believe it's very also crucial aspects when we come to the digitalize or digitize our services. We should understand, study carefully the behavior of customer, the need, so that also to assess the risk and make sure that whatever we are implementing is also meeting the main objectives. The learning curve is very important. I believe these people now are adopting these services in a careful manner, but we are sure that maybe in 2 years or 3, I believe everything will be digitalized and digitized as well.
I agree. I think so. I think that's a very good parting thought to give us. Is I think, at the end of the day, mindset is one of the most important things, right? We have to make sure that, customers, banks, we're all kind of ready and on the same page, so to speak, with the digitization efforts. So thank you everybody for joining us. I appreciate everyone's taking time from your busy schedule, and thank you for all your inputs. And hopefully you'll join us again soon, and let's see a beautiful digitized Saudi coming up and growing in the future.